Hi, these are the art supplies that I used on the Camino. The whole thing weighed about 600 grams, which is not light when you're carrying everything on your back, but this was the lightest I could go without compromising how I like to work. So I'll just go through them one by one. This is a mechanical pencil by Sakura. I used 0.3 mm. Mechanical eraser by Tombow. It was great. A foam eraser by Sakura, just as a regular foam eraser. My fountain pen is a Lamy Joy, and even their extra fine nib is not fine enough for me because I like a really fine line. So this is actually a custom ground extra fine nib. I'm never without this pen. This is a white pen, Jelly Roll by Sakura, that I use to draw cat whiskers and other white details after I'm done painting. This is a brush by Rosemary. It's the only travel brush that I owned before I went, so I just took this one with me. And generally I love it for drawing bigger things, but it ended up not being fine enough for the kind of work that I do, which is very highly detailed. And I should have taken the finer brushes that I do use, which are also by Rosemary, but they're not the travel version, so I didn't want to damage them. So that was something I wished I had changed. This was great. This is a thing called Portable Painter, and it comes empty for 12 half pans. They do a micro version for 6 colors, but that was just too small for me. I actually wish this came with one more. I would have loved to have the 13th color, but that's just how it goes. It came with a small brush, a travel brush with 2 ends, but that wasn't what I needed. It didn't work well for me. This actually comes in this holder, which is really clever because what you do is that you can hold it on. There's a way to keep them like this, and so you can put it over one leg when you're painting outside. It's just so clever, but I paint indoors, so that wasn't what I needed, and I ended up not using these. These are also water containers because of my own clumsiness, I kept dropping them and tipping them over. So next time I would go just with this palette, put a rubber band around it, and just use what I did on the Camino, which was just cups in the bathroom and hotel rooms and things like that. The ink in my fountain pen that I use is DeAtramentis Document Brown. The document means it's waterproof, which is what I need when I'm painting with watercolors. It's my favorite ink, and I use it for everything. It never fails me. It dries very quickly, which is really essential when you're painting. This is a proper travel container for it. It's 20 ml and it's glass. So this is great, but I didn't want to use glass in the Camino because rough handling of the backpack and the weight, which is not insignificant. So I just took it in a travel container, like for shampoos, and it leaked. So lesson learned. This is the sketchbook that I used. Usually I make my own sketchbooks, but this one, those just felt too heavy, so I bought one, and it was the first time I used this. It's called Tumuarta. It's 300 GSM, which is what I'm used to. The paper is quite toothy, if you can see the grain. It's not 100% cotton, which is again like what I'm used to, and so it felt like it held the color, the paint in quite for a long time. And since I paint in layer upon layer upon layer, that was really annoying for me to have to wait because I would get impatient and go in, and it would just not work. Now, when I came back and I had a few pages left of my sketchbook, I filled it, and I used my usual finer toothbrushes, paint brushes, and I realized that it was not a problem. So it was actually the combination of this brush and this paper that was not ideal for me. So lesson learned. It was a cute size, but it was really hard for me to use such a small size. Next time I'm going to just go ahead with my own sketchbook, which is A5 size, so it's slightly longer, and use my own paper. I'm going to have to find a way to bind it so that it's not so heavy, because this was a great weight, actually. Everything went into a Ziploc bag, which was the lightest and safest container for art supplies. I kept this in a separate bag, and I stored the ink in a separate, like twice wrapped in a separate plastic, and I'm so glad I did because of the leak. So I hope this was helpful. Feel free to ask me any questions. Thanks.